Hello and welcome to the Serra Football Podcast. It's so exciting. We're in season 2. My name is Amy Strain. I'm Director of Marketing and Communication at Serra High School, and I'm, of course, joined with the legendary Serra head varsity football coach, Patrick Walsh. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me again.
Yes,
season 2 of this, but season 22 for me.
That's right. We should say that. We should mention that.
It's 20 years ahead of the podcast thing. So.
There you go. Exactly. And now we're encapsulating it. But
That's right.
But this is actually like a preseason one, actually, because we really haven't officially started the season, but we are in, let's see, day 3 or 4. I guess day 4 of spring ball practice, which is exciting.
Right.
But I'm excited to say that we're starting this before Memorial Day, right? Which is like a huge deal. And I think it speaks volumes to the amount of preparation you employ. How's it going?
Yeah, I'd love to say it speaks volumes of our prep and planning and all that. The difference is this is the first year we've graduated before Memorial Day in I don't even know how many years, 15, True. 20 years. And so that means we haven't done spring ball because of the fact that we do not have a lot of space here and our kids are playing multiple sports. But now that there's no school, other teams that are still practicing are going early and we have time to do it in space.
That's true. I didn't really think about that.
Doing it.
I know baseball, they're playing this afternoon. They've got a big game today, and they were practicing yesterday at, I think, 11 in that heat. So that does make a difference. I was more so going on the calendar and thinking, like, wow, we're really, really prepared ahead of the game, which is very typical of your program, so I'm not taking it away.
Right. No, I know, but it's a great blessing because the spring practice is great just to, get our legs beneath us before summertime because we work really hard in the summer and, so it's just good to get some plays installed. And again, we're allowed to have some spring practice, not a ton, and we've never even used it. So it's nice to actually use it this year.
Yeah, well, it certainly seemed, I was out there on day 2 and it seemed extremely organized. Even for day 2, I was pretty impressed. So
thank you.
But a lot has happened since the end of last season, which ended on December 19th at the Open Division Championships against Mater Dei, which was an awesome opportunity to be down in LA and showcase our team. So what have you been up to? Tell us all about it.
Well, when one season ends at Serra, another one begins in my other life, which is next level. So we've, we had 20,000 kids playing flag football.
Wow.
In 10 different states. So I've been pretty consumed with that. But back here at home, the good news is we have an amazing team of coaches and people who love Padre Athletics, Padre Football, Coach Brian Carson, Coach Brian Wilbur was running Dawn Patrol all year. So we had a first 6 a.m. group that we've had first time in a long time. We used to do that all the time, but now we had some Dawn Patrol going. Coach Sal was running in the weight room. So, the school has really supported the fact that we have so many kids doing so many things, and a lot of kids want to lift and want to improve. And you need people for that. So I'm really honored to be a part of a program that understands the total student athlete. And the kids go to school and 3 o'clock they've been lifting, or 6 a.m. they're lifting. So without personnel, I can't do that these days. So without the personnel and the commitment, it wouldn't happen.
Yeah,
and what's cool is, and I'm not around much in the spring. I pop in and out and go to some games and basketball games and support the Padres, but I'm not here every day like a lot of other high school coaches. So having that trust and having a teammates that are all on the same page, all on the same team, driving for the same thing, which is developing these young men and making them positive members of society. And I saw that in the first practice when we had our spring practice. I saw the way the kids are moving around. They're different because of the work that they put into it. So. And I'll mention a few of those that really have stood out the first 3 days. So.
I'm excited to see that. And my next question was going to be about Dawn Patrol, actually, because we've had a lot of visiting coaches from different colleges, and I want to get to that. But I also just wanted, for anyone listening, if you look at the Padre Football Twitter page, I mean, there are some boys that have cleaned some serious weight, and it's been early and dark and cold, and the dedication is pretty impressive. So
it is. And I'd love to. I want to thank Coach Brian Wilbur, who is the one who's here, like that did that. Without an adult doing it, we cannot do that. So, and it's hard for an adult and kids to get here at 5:30, 5:45 in the morning. We're lifting by 6 a.m. We're done by 7:30, and it became.
And they have school. I mean, and then there's a long day
8:15.
Ahead of them.
So they get in there, they get some food in the cafeteria, and they run to school. So I think it's great that we have that commitment from Coach Wilbur, and that set a new tone for the whole season. And again, the level of sacrifice and things that you have to do to wake up in the 5s, which then again I'm not good at all, is showing on the field right now. So I'm very, very honored that happened. But just having them, we have a small weight room. We have 700 and something athletes playing multiple sports. There's just not a lot of time in that weight room. It gets very claustrophobic very quick. So bringing that Dawn Patrol back was, it's good to see again.
That's great. And do you know roughly how many athletes you had that were, I mean, I know that there was a group that was extremely dedicated.
Yeah, it cycled between things, but it was as low as 20, but as many as 40.
That's amazing. That really shows the level of commitment and the desire to just be better athletes all around for the sports that they play. So that's great.
Yep.
And during those fives, like you said, those early mornings, there were, like I said, you had a ton of different coaches. Again, going back to our Twitter and our Padre football social media sites, we did try to post as many pictures as we could of the visiting coaches. And I just kind of wanted to just to talk about that for a little bit. I mean, I know that you have wonderful relationships with many, many coaches, but I have seen an increase in the amount that are visiting lately. Can you talk about your efforts there?
Yeah, I mean, this is a relationship game. Football is. The world is, actually.
Right.
Life is, really. And recruiting is 100% relationships, and that's relationships with college coaches to high school coaches, making sure that we're present and prepared for the month of May, which is an open recruiting. College coaches can't just recruit whenever they want. There's an open and a close recruiting periods. So May is a open recruiting period. So the minute May comes around, it's like, all right, here they come. So Coach Bell, particularly who runs our on-campus recruiting,
right,
got us prepared, got the transcripts ready, got paperwork ready, just everything that we know the college coaches want and need, and has been doing that for a couple of years now. So people know when they come to Serra, they're going to be taken care of. And Coach Bell is amazing at that. And being taken care of is knowing that someone will be here to greet them, someone will take them to the back, someone will show them the film, someone will give them the transcripts of the kids they're interested in. And that doesn't happen everywhere.
Sure. And someone who knows the students. I mean, that's
Correct.
another thing, is somebody that can actually
Right.
speak on behalf of their actually, their drive, their persona, their abilities, and
Right.
and their the personalities too. I mean, that's important.
Sure.
So
And you mentioned that maybe there seems like there was more coaches here this spring than ever, and I think it's a combination of the fact that we have some really good players.
right. That helps.
Well, that's everything.
Right.
So I'd say that's one, and then maybe
missed that point, didn't I?
20 is the fact that we're organized, and we have a lot of coaches that we know have been here for a long time, and guys that trust us, trust our word, not only about our players, but the question they always ask is, all right, who else in this area is a great player? And of course, we'd say Jurion Dickey at
Sure.
Valley Christian, and some of these guys that are just really big stars, and other kids in this area that they may not know about. And so we know guys that either come from Aragon or come to Serra, or Serra to Aragon, wherever, because there's a lot of good football, a lot of good coaches in this area. So, I think, but it goes back to the fact that I think we have some really good young players, some players that are going to be recruited really high this year, and God has a lot to do with that. There's, you're big, strong, fast. I mean, you can develop a lot of those things, but most of it's that God-given, and we have some good God-given talent this year.
Awesome. And do we have any updates on I know that we had a pretty exciting year last year with, of course, San Diego State being a really, we had two there.
Yep.
Anyone new recently that that signed? I know that there have been a lot of offers. I've seen a lot again, I keep going back to our social media, but that's
Sure.
kind of been the most active part of our communication in terms of football. Anyone that you can think of that?
Well, Ryan Silver committed to San Diego State.
It's like our feeder now.
I know. I
Go Aztecs.
one of the coaches was like, yeah, San Diego Padres. Like,
Exactly.
oh,
there you go. We'll take it.
Yeah, we'll take it.
We'll
But
take your stadium too.
I know they have a new one going.
Right.
There. It's gonna be amazing. So Silver's the only one who's committed thus far, but Seamus Gilmartin's had some offers.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's
Some
great.
pretty good ones too, right? Like
Very good.
Harvard. I mean, there's
He had an offer from Harvard.
Right.
We've had a player go to Princeton, Yale, Columbia, but not Harvard. We haven't had a Harvard yet. Brown, not Penn, but this is the first Harvard offer we've had.
amazing.
So we'll see.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
That's great. And just overall, just as we kind of talk a little bit more, we're going to talk about the showcase that happened on Tuesday, but just in terms of just the normal May visits, are we seeing a spike in, obviously because of talent and coaching and development, so we are seeing a spike. So that's
Definitely.
good news.
Yeah, and we've played in the state championship the last few years, and that's what I've always talked about is players come first, and we have great coaches and great players and a positive environment that's helped us and all those good things, some good luck. But, I feel like this year we have a really talented group of young players that that meet the criteria that some of these guys are looking for, including and not excluding, but 100% including the academics.
I was just going to bring that up.
Totally. We have some of our highest recruited guys are 3.8, 3.9. We have, guys well over 4.0s that brings in the offers from all over the country. It makes it a place where that side of the building, I always say, is it's more important than this side of the building. We're just an extension of that. And the fact that we're handing out transcripts that have cumulative GPAs of 3.8, 3.9, 4.3, like it makes a big difference.
Well, sure. I mean, you see some of these, you were talking about Go Martin. I mean, multiple offers, right? I mean, it's not just, that's what differentiates the non-academic student athlete from the, the student athlete that's achieving. So,
and I would say this too, the increase, we see like Miami was here and LSU, Notre Dame, all those really fun places, but
Alabama.
Alabama, yeah. Coleman came out. It was good to see Coleman. Right? Yeah, totally. We've had a lot. But there's a lot more national recruiting at the lower levels, Division II, Division III, NAIA schools, because of the technology and the internet and things that we can share information, Huddle videos. It's not like you have to make tapes and so you can just send a link to someone's highlight film. So, a kid like Jaden Weber, who's not the biggest kid on the planet, but is very talented, can run in the slot, has great hands. We call him Sticky.
Yeah.
So these type of opportunities are coming, and those schools are coming too. And I think I think that's really cool too. So that gives an opportunity for and I think California kids have been kind of screwed in the last 20 years, maybe more, where the local schools have shut down football. So St. Mary's, Northridge, Santa Clara, some of these guys' dads played for those schools, USF. USF won a national championship back in the day.
Right.
How about that? And those opportunities don't really exist anymore. It's like, oh, if I can't go to Cal or Stanford, I'm not going to play.
Right.
So it's nice to see.
The next level is not only D1, right? I mean,
it's not only D1. No, it's mostly not
barely
D1.
D1. Right. But I just mean there's more opportunity in other divisions. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of coaches, so you had your first, was this the first ever spring ball showcase that you've had?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about that. That was really cool. It was Tuesday. It started at 5 o'clock, right?
Yep.
5 to 7. You had several coaches. I was counting, and then more would come. So why don't you just tell us all about what, why you did it and what it entails?
Yeah, and it's a borrowed concept basically from St. John Bosco and Mater Dei, Corona Centennial. Matt Logan's a really good friend of mine down there, and I actually had a chance to go to his showcase,
cool.
and Corona Centennial was 5 points away from beating Mater Dei last year, and they, by a couple passes here and there, a goal line stand here and there, we would have been playing them. So that shows you the caliber of his football program.
Yeah.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Wow. So when I went there, they probably had 100 coaches there.
Oh, really?
And they've been doing it for years, and it's very interesting. Their league sets up a showcase day. So in their league, let's say there's 7 schools. One school starts at 6 a.m., one school starts at 8. Cool. One school had a minimum day. They started at 1. So you can, in the same area, hit all the schools in their league.
Sounds like the WCAL needs to get on board.
I'll talk to them, but it was really cool. Good idea, right? Because there's a lot of great players in the WCAL, and I think that's something that we've never thought of before. These are the new things that people are thinking about as these men are on the road. These college guys, man, sometimes I feel so bad for them because they've.
Oh, yeah, one trip over, back. I mean, that's got to be disorganized.
Totally. Or they leave in April and they go home in June, and with a few stops back at home. And recruiting is everything for college football. If you don't have the guys, you can't win. And so that's so important to them. But having different plans and different ways to make it easier for the college guys to come see these great players at Serra is what I was picking up on through these other schools that have been doing this for probably a lot longer than we have.
Sure.
So, we put together a social afterwards and just to thank the guys for all their hard work and being on the road and coming to Serra High School. Again, it's a relationship business.
It definitely is. And about how many did you have and any representation you want to mention? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't count, but I know Frank came out. The farthest one away was Frank Pons from Miami.
Nice.
So yeah, it was nice to see him. He's a dapper guy. He's got the U on his belt, and it's kind of nice.
Really?
Yeah, it was awesome. He grew up in Miami, so it's really fun to meet all these guys and their stories and where they've been, and so Frank was the furthest one to come farthest away. But the local guys, it was really good to see all the local guys. Stanford was here, San Jose State was here, Cal was here. All of our tithing, pretty much the entire state. San Diego State was here. Of course, they don't miss those things. Kyle Hoke is one of my guys. I've really, really grown to respect him and got to know him very well. We talk football all the time, talks football with our staff. So it's nice when these guys come in too. It's like, hey, we got these players, but hey, we got this whiteboard over here. Can you teach us a few things?
It's a mutual benefit, right?
Totally. So, and I know Colorado was here. UCLA came by. I don't know everyone. The junior colleges were here.
I saw that.
City
CSM,
College.
yeah.
Jimmy from City College was here, and Coach Tim Tulloch and his staff. They were here from College of San Mateo. So. Yeah, it was a fun day.
We must mention the Bayside Broncos were here, which is the Young Pop Border League. They were all out here to watch, which was pretty cute.
That was 2 days. That was yesterday. That was Wednesday. But, yeah, they came out to view spring practice, and the coaches were here to learn. And at every level, you want to look up to the next level and say, look, how are coaches coaching there? How are people moving around the field? What can I learn from a technique? So, every level, in my opinion, above should open up their facility to the lower levels below. So we went to Oregon this year and went to different places to learn. And I know the college guys go to the NFL places to learn. So it's a really neat, football is neat that way, where we share all of our trade secrets.
Sure, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's good for the players, the younger players, to see how, you run at the players must, give respect to the coaches, listen, and, act accordingly. So that's
100%.
kind of good too.
Yeah.
So good. So do you think you'll hold more of these, you think, in the future?
We'll do one in spring, but it might be something like we mentioned. We coordinate with the other WCL coaches and see if we can do it. If a guy knew that he could come into the Bay Area and hit all the WCL coaches or schools in one day because of an organized event where they can see the kids running around and moving, where they can evaluate them in some level, I think that'd be really cool.
It would yield a much larger pool of participants, I would think, right?
I think so. And then
who's coming? I mean, there's that too. There's not only the it's like you want to get the guy first.
That's correct.
Even though we're all friends, right? But
we 100% are friends.
It's on game day. You've always said that.
364 friends, right?
That's right.
So then the concept of, there's a national recruit at Sacred Heart. And you can go to Sacred Heart and see kids, and then go to SI or Reardon, then jump down here, check out our stuff. Like that sort of thing, I think would be neat. We're going to do it no matter what. So, but
it would also be neat for visiting coaches. I mean, for the coaches of the different teams, just to see facilities and what they showcase. That'd be cool. But maybe we're getting too friendly here. But
that's a little bit too friendly. Yeah, we're not doing that.
All right. Well, let's move on to this season. We play a pretty grueling preseason, which is super exciting. We have Folsom De La Salle and Central Catholic before our season opener against St. Francis. In our first league game. So with a few days of practice under your belt, how are you feeling about the team, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I live in the present, so I don't really know what to project. This is a faith-based journey. I have no idea where we're going to end up. But if the season ended today, after 3 days, I would be very, very pleased.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'd be very pleased. I was very pleased with the level of information retention from the previous years. Information retention from our lower level guys that are playing on varsity for the first time. So that shows that our lower level coaches are implementing a program, not just a level. So that showed up, I thought, on Monday. And so when we put in these plays, and it's not new to them, we can teach at a higher level.
Sure.
So that was number one. I'm like, wow, these guys remember how to do things. We hadn't been on the field since December.
It's not a waste of time there, catch up,
right? Just like babying people along, like, okay, this is what we do, and like, what play is that? Like, so, and that's also a result of the fact that we've been here for a long time. I've been here for a long time. This coach has been. So having that uniformity year and over year is very, very. It's something that's strong for a program, and I saw that on Monday. But what I really saw on Monday, what I was really excited about was the focus and the attention to detail. And I've always said one of the hardest things about being a high school coach is getting a group of 16, 17, 18-year-olds to care, particularly in the Bay Area when you got so many other things to care about. This isn't a one little thing town where this is the only thing that exists, right. Which we try to make it that way, where during this time, with balance, of course.
Of course.
But the more important it is to them, the less we have to motivate. If we're the chief motivators of the team year in and year out, we being the coaching staff, we're going to fail.
It's not a winning strategy.
No. So what was really good to see was the work that was being paid off, the already investment. And this wasn't day one. This was day, 90 for some, right?
Right.
So maybe more, day 100. So they've already put in the time. The core group of guys that I've seen have already put in the time, and that's now bleeding out into the rest of the team. And there was a level of focus that I think puts us, that I felt a little bit ahead of things.
That's amazing. Well, I definitely, Rosie and I have kind of walked around. We're very excited. Obviously, we love your program. We love football, and we feel like this campus really comes alive during football season.
Sure.
And other seasons as well, but there's something about football. There's so many players, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of people.
But I did notice a couple things as well. One is I haven't watched many years. I don't have 22 years under my belt, but the excitement, the dedication, they're so happy to be here. It is amazing, and that's just so much fun to watch.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot about just volume of humans, right?
Oh, and
during that dreaded COVID deal, for some reason, our numbers swelled to numbers we've never seen before. And not a lot of those people are falling off, or kids are falling off and doing other things.
It's amazing. And usually in years past, I think, you probably, I just remember from people I know, after 2 weeks of grueling practice, like, I can't take it.
That's right.
I mean, you would definitely, you don't have to cut anyone. They'll shrink themselves usually.
Of course.
But
that's not happening.
There's a lot of kids out there this year.
Over 90 on our roster this year.
Which is a lot. What was last year's? It was in
the 70s,
78
I think.
or something like that, right? Was that
at the end of the year when we brought people up? But a traditional roster size is 60s for us, and because we have over 90 kids this year, we can practice differently. It's because there's more people.
There's more people. Yeah. Well, that's great. I think that's really exciting. So also, one thing I did notice too, we were sitting here waiting for you, and we noticed that the boys started their workouts without any coach direction at all. And like that right there, we were like, oh, it's right on the dot, and they are doing what they're doing. That's pretty disciplined and really, really cool. So,
sure, and that's a testament of senior leadership. So every great team, you can always look back to the senior. I don't even remember the juniors really. Like if I think of
till the next year.
If I think of the team of 06, I think of the seniors, not the juniors. I know some juniors contributed, but you think of the 06 guys, the guys who graduated in 2007. Right, so that's Huggy's team and Coach Thomas and those guys. So you remember those guys in that era by their senior year. So every team is defined by their seniors, and this senior class has shown that they care, and that's a brilliant start.
That's a great start.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of seniors, we lost a large pool of talented seniors last year, or a couple weeks ago, I should say.
Yeah.
So let's talk about our senior pool a little bit. Let's talk a few names. How's it looking? Who are our leaders?
The guys who've stood out the most just quickly in the beginning of the season. Sam Goligoski has really stood out as a kid who's fully committed to football and committed to the weight room and committed to his academics. And man, he on defense we can't block. Offense is really struggling blocking him.
He had a great season last year.
He did.
Some amazing plays that we commented on the podcast a lot too.
Right. So. He came in our dime package, was kind of a pass rush specialist, and I think he led our team in sacks. So it's not like we've never heard of the kid before, but
I just remember him flying. Across just whoa there.
Some Superman
really cool.
plays.
Exactly.
He's got that sort of motor, that sort of effort, and so that's really stood out. Ryan Silver obviously is a senior, and he's do great leadership on the offensive and defensive line. Joey Villaroman, who's he's been hurt sadly,
I'm excited to watch him play.
It's nice to have his smile and his attitude and his enthusiasm out there, because that's who he is. And when you can't do something you love, it just can strip away at your spirit a little bit. And I know he's been down in the dumps, kind of down in that dark pit where it's like, gosh, just some bad luck. And now his knees coming back. He's strong, and it's nice to have him out there leading.
So remind me though, he played, was it 2 games last year or 3? Early on he got re-injured, right?
So he got hurt in the spring, and he tried to make it happen in the real season, the fall.
Right.
And it just wasn't the time, so he went back in and had his ACL surgery and just had the full surgery. We're trying to, get through it without doing the full surgery and see if he could play a little bit. So either way, it looked like he was going to miss his junior season. So having him back, and he's one of the best athletes on our team and loves Serra football. His brothers went here. His brothers played here. I love that sort of thing, is having that sort of
tradition.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
And obviously Seamus Gilmartin is doing a great job, a hard worker. A lot of these guys are just really cold-blooded, hard workers.
That's awesome.
And that's a great place to start. So Gastrock is running around having fun. Sutton, all these guys I've known because of Willie
Weber,
forever.
You mentioned him a little bit ago.
Jaden, it's nice to see him running around, doing what he did last year. So
McGovern, there's a lot.
McGovern, he's coming back. Dylan Judier, another receiver coming back.
Him? He's one of my faves.
Right, so get some young guys that are coming back that aren't seniors, but a lot of those guys were only sophomores last year, right?
Exactly.
So,
I was just going to say the junior class also is coming back. We got some incredible athletes there, so it's going to be a good
some of those
team.
guys are 3-year varsity guys and only juniors.
Right.
So that's a nice luxury to have too.
Bay, et cetera. Yeah. Awesome. Well, let's move on to the coaches because I know we have a few new, not new coaches in terms of new to the program, but new in terms of moving laterally or up the ladder, whatever you want to call it. Can you talk a little bit about Peralta, Vignal?
Yeah. Well, Coach Eagle, my brother, his lovely wife's having his second baby right in the heart of football season. We got to work on scheduling. We have a scheduling issue with that whole. I'm totally kidding.
We'll announce it on the podcast.
That's right.
Is it a boy or a girl?
We will. Well, we don't know.
Okay.
We don't know. They're a surprise team. So Kenny Peralta, who's been coaching freshman football, like just unbelievable coach and great friend of mine and great mentor for the kids and a religion teacher here. Just one of the best of all time. High school. We're so lucky to have him. Best guy ever. So he's a head football coach in my opinion, and he has been, right? When he's coached in other places as well, right? Oh my gosh, yeah. I'm not going to say how many years he's been coaching because I don't think he'd like that.
We don't want to age him.
No, but he's coached at the college level, junior college level, high school level. He's been the head coach at Caprio Junior College. He state champion at. I always say state champ because I was there with my son. He was 5, and it felt like a state championship. They lost by a couple points, but state championship at Marin Catholic. Yep, it's fake news, but state championship down there. Played Sarah Gardena in a game. Wow. Yeah, he was the head coach. Marin Catholic, little Marin Catholic versus big Sarah. It was, oh my God, what a great game. I'll never forget it. So he was the head coach of that team, head coach of Sacred Heart up in the city, and to have him, coaching our defensive line now with all that wisdom and years and. He's gonna. What I like about Coach Peralta is he gives me those. Even though I have a lot more gray now than I did 20 years ago, he's the gray hair of the gray hair. Meaning he has way more experience than any of us on the staff. So his wisdom and just kind of like guys, and he's got this real baseline understanding of football and teams and how kids think and how to motivate. So adding that to our varsity program is amazing. And then Matt Vignal, who was at Faith Lutheran last year in Las Vegas after being a graduate assistant at UNLV, is now here on campus. He's actually going to be our head freshman coach, but he's working with equipment. And, since freshmen aren't here yet, he's with us on varsity. That's awesome. So it's nice to have him around, too. That's great. He's been awesome. He loves the school. Obviously, his dad's been the JV coach for 25, 26, I'm going to say 30, just so I don't get it wrong, long before I got here. So the Padre football is in the Vignal blood, so it's great to have Matt around. That's great. That's wonderful. And the coaches are pumped. I mean, I know you said you kind of had visited some colleges, got some new techniques, and is there anything that you want to mention that you guys are focusing on that's different, or are you just going to kind of same great program that you've always done? Yeah, the program's not going to change. I mean, we have a certain standard here that we're all aware of, and we're going to ask the kids and the newcomers and the guys that were here last year to rise to that standard. Awesome. That's never going to change. The way we teach and the way we treat it has changed over the years, but the standard has not changed. And I know Jeff and a lot of the Coach Thomas, all the old school guys, like, man, when I was here, blah, 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 and it was so hard, and now you're soft. And I'm like, yeah, I get what you're saying. They may be right, because we did some crazy things conditioning that, we probably should not, Back in the day. Yeah. It was legal then. It was legal then. It was legal then. Yeah. Borderline illegal. We did track. We ran track and we did liners in the same day. We don't do that anymore. Jeff will always remind me about that. I'm sure Duke is happy to hear that as well. Yes, yeah, totally. So thankfully everything's good. But the standard of what we expect to get out of each kid and to make them a level or two higher than what they come into the program, that's never going to change. But the excitement and things that we've learned, and we have a new group of people, so we will be doing new things on offense. We'll be doing new things on defense that matches our personnel. And I think that's what makes our program special, is our we don't have a lot of egos when it comes to coaching, and this is how I do things. Like, well, what if how you do things doesn't fit how those kids move or whatever? Right. So Coach Bell and Coach Mons, our fearless leaders on the offensive and defensive side of the ball, have come up with some new plans, and we'll slowly implement that over the summer. That's exciting. Yeah. So, lessons learned. Have you thought about anything from just say playing a team like Mater Dei? Has anything changed in your mind that you might consider for our boys? Or I'm just wondering, just because it was a different kind of out of our zone competition. Right. Yeah. Not out of our league, just out of our zone. Yeah. I mean, No, I don't think that singular moment would affect us either. Yeah, no, it's a good question. I think, like for me, I'm intrigued by that. I'm intrigued by that experience in the sense that, we're different than modern day. I mean, we're both Catholic schools, but we're different. And Northern California is different than Southern California football. And this isn't a knock on anything. I'm not going to go all Nick Saban and get into a fight with the Texas Tech guy, but it is different. I mean, Southern California football is different than Northern California football. And so I don't really feel like, now it would be great to be ranked number 1 in the country and win that game 44-7 and be the other team. But we're so different that I don't know if that should be the end goal, to be honest with you, Amy. I don't have personal or programmatic aspirations to do the things that's necessary to actually flip that scoreboard the other way, because I think it's just kind of getting away from what high school football really is all about. I don't know, just the difference really comes in transfers. We get some transfers. We've had some in 21 years. We've had some transfers to Serra, and we'll have a few transfers every year in and out. But it's all like 1 or 2, but not like 20 or 15. Or I like the fact that a freshman comes in here and he bleeds as a freshman, and then he's a sophomore, and then he's a junior, and then my senior year, I'm a leader. I've been here for 4 years. Sometimes that's different down there. Those kids don't stay at their school for 4 years. So I think we would lose a little bit what it means to be a high school person.
And a Padre.
And a Padre, yeah. Just, the fact that the traditional way is you go to your high school and you leave your high school and you're a Padre forever. Sure. You can only do that, I think, if you do that for 4 years. Not only. I
understand what you mean, though. You just mean as long as you invest in the program because it's the program, not investing in how it's going to impact your future.
Right. I'll give you a perfect example. In 22 years, we've had 0 senior transfers. There's never been a transfer to Serra who's a senior. And the reason why is because if they do that, they won't meet our graduation requirements. So you have to be here for at least have to be here for at least 2 years to graduate from Serra, because you need some junior classes and some senior classes that actually meet our curriculum to graduate from this great school. So it's physically impossible for someone to transfer in as a senior and graduate from Serra High School. So we've had kids hey, I'm going to come to Serra my senior year. No.
Not going to happen.
No, I'd maybe stay at your school or go somewhere else. And we've had kids inquire about that, and that's one of the major differences right there. So I think it's Northern California football, to be honest with you, should probably play its own state championship, and Southern California should have their own state championship.
That'd be good.
Just because we're not comparing apples to apples anymore. It's not apples to apples at the state level.
And I kind of have to correct my own question, because I really meant more football strategy, not really football feeling. I think that I have to bring up some of the emails that we received following the modern day game, where there were people in the stands that were completely neutral. They were there to see some good football. They weren't rooting for anybody, and they ended up rooting for you and writing us emails about how you handled that last quarter and the halftime speech, and the fact that it was about you as a team, us, we, love, the brotherhood, the humility. So I will say that my question meant just strategy on the field, not strategy on the program and all that you put into it.
Well, I give Modern Day a ton of respect, because it's not necessarily what they do strategically. It's they take what they do. They're very simple with what they do. They're highly athletic, ridiculously talented, and they do it extremely well with great technique. So if anything we learned from that game is the best of the best in that situation still really hone in on the technique. And that's what I told you even in the podcast before. Man, not only are they're everything, they love being Monarchs and all that crazy stuff. Their technique is fantastic. So they're great coaching. And, so if I take anything away from that butt whooping, basically, is we got to be better, particularly when we're playing teams like that. We have to be better coaches, better technicians. We have to know things at a higher level. And even when that happens, if all that's happening and, one kid's going to Georgia and another kid's not, and, he's just going to finish out his senior year, sometimes the other team wins.
Sometimes.
Which is okay. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm realizing I'm getting very long on time, so I have a lot of questions I still have left to ask you, but I think that maybe we'll podcast a few later when we talk about equipment
Perfect.
and about new strategies for the season.
Yeah, let's do
but
that.
before we go, I think it's very time sensitive that we ask you about Willie, who
Oh, yeah.
has qualified for the CIF state championships in golf, and it is such a huge achievement.
Yeah.
We haven't had, I think Coach Langridge had said when he popped by our office, I don't think we've had, in the time he's been coaching here, we've never had anybody qualify. So can you just talk about
Yeah.
your awesome son?
Yeah, it's fun. And being a golf dad is fun, particularly a golf dad who's awful at golf. So I have
Well, you do golf barefoot, so
I,
that
well,
might be.
I enjoy it. That
I'm
doesn't
just
mean I have to be
saying.
good at it. And usually when you see the guy roll up with no shoes on, that's the guy who's just stick. He puts the ball and so it's kind of like after the first few holes, like, wait, put your shoes on, man. You're kind of wacky. So so being a golf dad of a son who's achieving at this level it's kind of miraculous to me because there's nothing that I had anything to do with. It's his own desire, his drive, his work ethic, his team, his coaching. Lindsay and I have paved the way and helped him, achieve those type of things from just from like maybe a courage or strength or
Of course.
we're both competitors,
Focus. There's a
focus,
lot
that
of
sort of stuff. But the technical
values,
stuff,
right?
chipping the ball in the hole and the things and earning his way to a state championship is really cool. And since 2000, Jordan Cox was the last one to do that in 2006 here at Serra. So
Wow.
that astonished me because there's been a ton of great golfers that come through here. And that just shows how hard it is just to make it to state championships. So
sure.
we're excited. Yeah, we're
That's really
excited.
exciting.
It's gonna be fun.
He's feeling strong and good.
Oh, he's
and,
pumped. Yeah.
good.
And it was really cool in the Sarah Fryer. I read the article about
It was good.
about it. I really liked it. And the last sentence gave me chills because here at Sarah, it's, whether you're a team sport or an individual sport, you're always competing for something bigger than yourself. And
really good.
that's the S.
Chilling, yeah.
That's the Padres. That's Sarah. And when you walk around here and you see that Tom Brady picture, or you look at the Hall of Fame, or you look at up in the gym with all those banners, and you think of all these people who went before you. I thought it was really cool. The author of that article said, not only is he playing for himself and for Pepperdine, maybe he goes pro, whatever, all that stuff. Only God knows what's going to happen there. It's like for this event this weekend, he's playing for all of us here at Sarah.
Awesome.
And I love that, man.
That's
That's
chilling.
Like,
I love
yeah,
that.
That fired me up, gave me chills, and I know he feels that he loves the school. I mean, he wishes so bad he was on the football team.
I know. He was pretty good.
I know, and all his best buddies are running around here.
Totally.
So it's really cool, and he was a good player, but it's obviously he's pretty good at golf. So
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, we wish him the best of luck.
Yeah,
He's such
thank
a
you.
great Padre, and we're so proud to be represented. And again, for your time, your talent, your focus, I can't thank you enough. I'm actually very excited for this season and to be able to podcast and capture it all. I feel very privileged.
Yeah.
So thank you. And
You're welcome.
let's go Padres.
It's gonna be a great year. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.